Jesse, thank you very much for those kind words. You're the man, as I just said to him. I thank Joanne Crothers for suggesting that I come and speak. When I was here for the hockey activity, I had not met Joanne. I knew her husband. I coached her husband. I had him in class. But I met her, chatted a little while, and I said some things. And I said, if you ever need a speaker, I have a few stories I'd like to tell the kids. And she said, I'll keep that in mind. So I got a call in November, I think, and then we talked about the academic assembly. And I said, oh, that's pretty cool. I have some stories. I can deal with that. And Andrew Blair told me how to work this thing. And I hope, don't tell me if I'm not doing it right, but anyway, I'm trying my best. At any rate, we had a little reception over at Gallant House. I knew Barry Gallant. He was my headmaster. We used to run together, and we wouldn't let each other beat each other. I'd stirred your head, he'd catch you. Anyway, that's another story. I have lots of stories. I have many stories, but I can't tell them all. At any rate, I had two pictures of the track team, 79 and 80, and I asked Joanne if she could find her husband. It took her a while. Of course, he had lots of hair in those days, but that's okay. I have two daughters, and way back in the day, Laura, my oldest daughter, babysat Brian, and Cynthia, who's 3 years younger, and Brian were going to bake a cake. They got all the ingredients, put them in the blender. I'll say Brian turned the power on, and there was no cap. Messy. Mother wasn't happy. My daughter Laura is 60 as we speak. She's a daycare teacher in the Glebe in Ottawa. She likes the little teeny kids, 18 months, etc. She's been there for 35 years. My daughter Cynthia is 57. She's a professor at Memorial University in St. John's, Newfoundland. I have to tell you, my mom and her sisters were teachers, and I had one sister who was, and I have one grandson of 4 who is a teacher. He got his first full-time job this year. I'm thrilled for him. This is a special night for many of you because hard work equals positive results. And I see, just listening to Andrew a little bit ago, my God, you are a bright bunch of people. And that's very good, obviously. I bet your parents are very proud. I know the teachers are. Your achievements have been fantastic. The thing is that you have to maintain these standards. Don't let your guard down. It's a tough world out there. So you seniors, maybe you could become politicians. I wonder why. Nudge, nudge, wink, wink. January 17th, 1939. Do the math. That's my age in 2 days. But I was young once, and I remember. 21 years, I remember. And I was saying to Joanne as I walked over, we were both saying it to each other. I had supper last night, and then supper tonight, lunch, breakfast, I've got to go back and forth here. But the kind of the chaos, the kids yelling and almost screaming to each other, talking with staff, it brought it all back from when I was here. Now, 1962 to 83, none of you were born, if I'm not mistaken, and I wouldn't be surprised if some of the teachers weren't born. So, what kind of fossil? No, I'm not a fossil. I'm a trilobite. What could I say to these kids to keep them interested? Well, I'm going to continue. I'd like to think that my words will resonate with you all. I'll do my best and give it a shot. Now, I went to high school at Lachine, which is outside of Montreal, if anybody knows that area, between 54 and 57. I was not a student anywhere like any of you people. I couldn't carry your dishes. I was not a student. However, I could run middle distance running. And so in the summertime, they would have meets, and I graduated on a Friday night, and Monday morning I was working in the Bell Telephone. Boring. Sorry, it was not for me. But at any rate, while I was running these meets at different times over the summer months, I met two young gentlemen from the University of Dubuque in Dubuque, Iowa. If you looked at a map, right in the middle, the breadbasket of the United States. And in the school, from 51 to 63, there were a number of Canadians that were going. They would graduate and others would take their place, etc. All on the track team and the cross-country teams. So they said, well, you're out of school? Apply, apply, apply. And they kept nagging me all summer. So I did. I got accepted. Who knew? I got accepted. So I grabbed it. Opportunity. I grabbed it. My idol in school, teacher-wise, was a phys ed teacher, Don Cochran. I wanted to be just like him one day. So I took phys ed. But one of the courses I had to take was biology as part of the phys ed program. I loved it so much, I took every biology course they had there. So I had a double major. So, I gotta turn this over here. I'm gonna get these out of the way. So now I'm gonna try to work to become a better person and a teacher. Oh, and I must add one thing. I was on probation the first semester. If I didn't do well, I had to go home and face Mom and Dad. Mom was a teacher. Dad worked in the Bell Telephone. Tough guy. Seriously. So I was determined, absolutely determined that I was not going to fail. I was going to get my grades and become eligible, which I did. The 4 years went like that. But here's the time, so the last course I was worried about was American literature, Edgar Allan Poe. At any rate, I saw the list of names, Boyd, Peter. I'm going to graduate. I'm going to get a diploma. My parents are coming from Lachine, 1,000 miles. And then the glitch, I get a letter in the mail. Dear Mr. Boyd, it has been brought to my attention that you are $17 in arrears. You owe the school. If you do not pay by X, you will get a blank diploma. I was the first one of my family, 3 sisters, to graduate from college. I was a little upset, to say the least. My wife-to-be said, don't worry, Peter. Here's your $17. She paid it. See this ring right here? She has one too. She bought those too. I guess she wanted to marry me, right? Anyway, I gotta stop for a second, guys. I love talking, but I get thirsty and you can't understand what the hell I'm saying. Okay, where was I? So, I've gotten that taken care of. I graduate. I go back to Lachine. I work for Pat Fletcher at Royal Montreal Golf Club. Anybody's parents members here? Or maybe your junior members? Beautiful golf course, Ile Bizarre. I also worked when it was in Dixie, so that was my job for the summer. I'm 23 years old. I don't even have a driver's license. I'm going to get married May the 19th of 62. Dilemma. Well, Dad, what do you think? So he has an automatic. Keep that in mind. So I drive, I passed the test, I got my license. Well, Dad, I need a car. Well, Peter, let's go down Lachine, 3 or 4 miles from home. Keep that in mind. Here's my first car, an antique, a 55 Chevy, blue, white walls, 4-door, sticky gears, other problems you don't want to, you will know about in a bit. So I said, geez, Dad, $267 on time. I had no money, nothing. Well, I've had a few dollars, but anyway. So I said, Dad, how am I going to get the car home? It's a standard I'd practiced a little bit with one of my buds, but he did all the driving, so I just did it a couple of times and said, I don't want to do that. You're going to give me a ride anyway, which he did. So, Dad, how am I going to get this home? Why, Peter, you're going to drive it home. Bye. So I had to figure out how to do this. So I drove it home Friday night, practiced after supper, practiced on Saturday. This is now about not quite about the 14th of August. So Sunday morning, off I go to Dubuque, 1,000 miles, all by my lonesome. Get through TO, no problem. Pull in London, Ontario. Turn the car. The steering wheel goes like I was trying to make that noise. It's broken. All day Monday getting it repaired. Now, I have to be in Dubuque by Wednesday for a blood test. You need a blood test before you could get married. A little pressure there. So once I got done, drove all night, got through, oh yes, the sticky gears, I forgot about that. I get in the tunnel going from Windsor to Detroit, and it gets stuck from between first and second. Well, I know what to do, but who's behind me? A tow truck. No problemo, he takes care of it. Off I go. Through the wilds of Michigan, me and the truckers. You ever drive in the 401? Nothing like that then, but there were truckers, a few. Now it's, forget about it. Anyway, I get through there, get through Chicago, get to Dubuque. By Tuesday night, we go down in the morning to the town hall or wherever we had to do the blood test, got married, went to Niagara Falls, got to Stansted about, the last week of August, I guess it was, starting 21 years of teaching. I loved every single minute of it. Yes, there were days when I had 18 hours of work, which you know, teachers, what I'm talking about. Brian Denny used to say to me, I don't have a problem with Peter Boyd getting to do duty. I find out his hockey schedule. It could have been Montreal to go play LCC. It's all day long. You got to come back late. And then he'd say, I put him on the next day. But I was young then, so it didn't matter, It didn't matter. Except walking down, I live where Andy Elliott and Barb Elliott live, which is Mountain View, 5 Mountain View, I think it is. Anyway, yes, now let me continue. So I had a grade 7 class in Bugby, a couple of PE classes, and then I was going to start the biology program. So I'm in my classroom, which was in the model school, Holmes, I call it the Holmes Model School, on the top floor at that time. And the assistant principal, his name was Mr. Hackett. He taught Latin, toughest man on the campus. You were bad, ruler. Those were the days. But I never touched anybody, never. I didn't like that, because I went through fraternity initiation, and I know about paddling. And anyway, that's another story. Mr. Hackett said, well, you're going to teach biology, eh? I said, yes, I'm going to try. He said, well, I got a couple of things for you to get you started. You ready? A pail of water, 2 antique microscopes, and a box of slides. He says, go to it, boy. Okay. I think it's a little better now, which is a good thing. Anyway, so 21 years, I was 23, my wife was 21. She taught English to grade 8s. She played the organ for the chapel service and did duty with the girls from 79 to 83 when they came back. And as I said, I loved every second of it. I don't know if I could say I'd do it in a heartbeat, because if you've done the math, I'm 85 years old in 2 days. And I don't think I want to teach. But I got to tell you, the last couple of days have been great, just seeing the interchanging and the discussions and talking to the students a little more tonight. And kind of a neat thing, I got a charge when I talked to one fellow, and he said, I'm from Newfoundland. Well, one of my daughters is from there, so I said, I'm glad to see you're from the Rock, because that's what they say. Anyway, what I'd like to tell you, and very seriously, Stansted shaped and molded me, made me the person I am today. Just as Stansted is doing it to every single one of you people, whether you believe it or not, you are being molded and shaped and becoming a better person, I assure you. And it's a very, very interesting thing. I think it's great. Okay. To all of you, doing great things is not just the purview of divinely gifted, but of anyone who is determined to make a difference. So, make a difference. This was written by a man named Spencer von Floten, Floten. He was writing about a famous Canadian. When you think you know the answer, tell me. He put one foot in the ocean in St. John's. He managed to run as far as North Bay, or certainly in northern Ontario. Who am I talking about? Terry Fox. I missed that. A few more tidbits, guys, ladies. Enjoy every day here, every minute, every second. Appreciate what you have here. Friends, teammates, coaches, teachers. I met some of your teachers, and they're pretty cool. And I said it to them at Joanne's house. And I'm not making that up just because you're here. I never tell a lie. At the facilities, I can, on one hand, basically, Colby, Davis, Bugby, Holmes, the recreational center, which is renovated. It was the old gymnasium. Imagine playing basketball and all the pipes are on the outside of the walls. Think about that for a second. And then all of the beautiful new buildings that you have. Superb. At any rate, appreciate all the small things. You never know when they will be taken away. I urge you to get to know the history of the school. The one that I would like you to find, and Karen Cushing could help you there, is the 73 yearbook, and it says, Foundation for Life, a student, and there's 8 sentences. And it was 1973, so it could be any student and it could be any year. Think of what the world is like today, guys, ladies. And the other one I would suggest strongly is anything that Brian Denny wrote, especially about sports athletic assemblies. It's just superb. You have a teacher here, Matt Thompson, who is the hockey coach. He also writes superbly. I have a letter that he wrote. You need to read that. That man has it. That's all I'll tell you. Where am I here? Here's a few sayings that I have. Life is about using the whole box of crayons. That's kind of what I've been trying to tell you. And on my door in the residence where I live with my wife in a long-term retirement residence, I have a picture of a canoe, and it says simply, paddle your own canoe, so be your own person. Okay? And the last one is the most important to me, and some of you have heard me say this. I'll say it again. To give anything less than your best is to sacrifice the gift. And it's up to you to figure out what the gift is. And I think you should know that. That gentleman, his name was Steve Prefontaine. And he was a U.S. track star in the 70s. A rebel, outspoken, but God, could he run. Ugh. His life didn't end very nice, but I won't go there. A little bit more, guys, ladies. When I retired, I went on to teach another 18 years in New Hampshire, where I taught and coached. And right at the end, the last year when I retired in 2001, I spoke to the National Honor Society. And my theme basic was, and remember, this is a public school, entirely different, but you know what I'm talking about. And I told them it was cool to be smart. I told them it was cool to study, to be organized, to be disciplined, and to have high standards. Voila, I'm talking to you people, which you all have. What I'm hoping to do is to say, maintain such high standards. I think it is incredible. Boy, you must keep these teachers on their toes. That's wonderful too. So continue to have high standards and strive to reach high standards. I thank you for having me. I just wanted to be a teacher, a coach, and a mentor. And I was. Cheers.